Hi guys and welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing an update on how the girls are getting on with their weaning process. We have been weaning them since they were 6 months and they are just nearly turning 7 months, so we've been doing it for about 4 to 5 weeks now. So when we actually started weaning the girls, it was a little bit of a struggle, particularly with Harper, due to her having Down syndrome. She really didn't want to open her mouth and put food in, and she really just appeared to dislike it. But over the weeks, with persistent trying, she has really picked up. Quinn took to it like a duck to water. She really liked the food, in particular the porridge. She would just wolf bowls of that down. So yeah, in the early days we just started them off with porridge. Now I did originally use the Cow and Gate just because that's the milk that we were using. However, I did a little bit of research through the fantastic world of Instagram and Google, and I found that you can just give a child Ready Brek, and this is so much cheaper compared to the baby brands. I think you're paying around £2 a box for something like a Cow and Gate baby porridge, which would last between them probably about 2 or 3 days. But if you got the Ready Brek, that is like a massive box compared to them, and that is again only around £2, so that will last them sort of like nearly a month. So it's dead cheap to go for the Ready Brek. And it also tastes so much better. I don't know if you've tried the baby porridge, but it's absolutely disgusting. Whereas the Ready Brek is a lot more creamier. They do recommend with the baby porridge, as I previously stated in my first day of weaning, that you do sort of use the baby milk to make it with. You can just use hot boiling water, but I use the baby milk just because it tastes so much better. So yeah, so that's where we were sort of up to. We have got a few more devices that the girls have seemed to have been liking. One of them being this little device here. It's like a big dummy, but it opens up, let me show you, like this, and then I sort of put like mashed up banana and things, so if you're out and about they can just suck on that, so it entertains them for a while, and they've got like lots of little teeny tiny holes in there, and the food sort of comes out. So they have been absolutely great as well for using. And I do have the dawdle bags now. I originally talked about these in the product video that I did, and these are them. So they're like this and they open up. So I make my food in batches, which I'll go on to talking about in a little bit. And yeah, you just open them up and then I put my food in there, and then these are freezable and washable and reusable, so they're very eco-friendly for using with baby products. So how we went about weaning the girls, we basically on day one just started with a bit of baby porridge in the morning, and we tried that for 3 consecutive days. So we would get them up when they wake up around 6 o'clock, give them the normal bottle, and then when they were due the next feed at around 9, we would give them porridge instead, and then top them up with the rest of the milk that wasn't used in the porridge. And like I said, we did this for about 3 days, and then we started adding lots of fruit and veg. Now we stuck purely just to single veg, so we just used sort of like a mashed up mango or a mashed up banana. We actually use the Tommy Tippy blender again, that is in my previous product videos. If you would like to look at that, you can have a look and see everything that I'll be using. So yeah, so we just stuck to 1 vegetable at a time, introduce them on a daily basis. They do say a child needs to have a go at a veg about 10 times before they definitely know whether they like it or not like it, but we have found that which fruit and veg that they do like and which ones that they don't like. In particular, sort of they don't like carrots, which is unfortunate for me because it is actually the cheapest one, but they do like things like the mangoes, they love courgettes, and they love sweet potato, and they sort of hate apples. So again, it's just a bit of like trying and seeing what they like and what they don't like, because obviously every baby is very much different. So every day we would try a new veg with them to make sure. I did it on a single basis purely because if you mix them together straight away, so if I sort of did like pear and apple mixed together, if they did have a reaction, we wouldn't know if it was the apple or the pear that did it, and obviously I wouldn't like to give them either. So if you do it on like a single basis, when you're sort of trying a new food, to see if they do like it for one, and also to see if they have any allergic reactions. If they don't, then obviously later on you can start mixing. That is where we're kind of up to at the moment. We have been sort of trialing mixing some foods. So yeah, just stick to single foods, I would, and then do that for about a week, trialing different ones. Like I said, we started off with just porridge, and then added a fruit and veg, and that was at about the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock mark in the morning, and then we did add on a sort of a tea time one. We haven't had any lunchtime ones yet, just purely because of the time consistency it takes with feeding twins. So yeah, we do the 9 o'clock breakfast, and then at around 3 o'clock we'll feed them some tea with a little bit of milk, and then put them down for the afternoon nap before we do the bedtime bottle and bed routine. To get the right consistency, like I previously just mentioned, we have been using the Tommy Tippy blender for things such as hard vegetables like a carrot or a parsnip or a sweet potato or something like that. We have been literally chopping them up into little cubes and steaming them for around 15 minutes to make them soft, and then we blend them for 2 minutes to get a smooth consistency. Certain foods that are quite starchy, like the sweet potato, we do sort of add a little bit of their baby milk to that, because it does have an undertone of taste which helps them take it, and it also waters it down a little bit so it is a bit less like cloggy, because I did find originally when I was trying certain things that Quinn was almost like gagging on a couple of the vegetables, so we sort of make it a bit smoother, and I think you're sort of looking for like a double cream consistency with that. They have over the last sort of few weeks have been getting a little bit better with taking sort of thicker textures, and we are going to start be adding some more lumps in there in the next sort of few weeks. But yeah, so yeah, anything, all the vegetables that we sort of look at, like a courgette, they can get quite watery. If you're doing anything like a watermelon, anything that's got a lot of water to it, I only sort of steam those for around sort of 10 minutes or so, and then only blend for about 30 seconds, because otherwise they end up like almost like a soup type thing, which is not the greatest thing to be eating. And there's a lot of the fruit and veg that don't need steaming, so like mangoes, I don't steam, I just purely blend for 2 minutes. A banana, again, I blend for less than 2 minutes for a banana, because that goes quite thick and gooey, so I blend about a minute just for a banana. All the sort of the fruit, like the apples and pears, I do steam them for about 5 or 10 minutes just to get them soft, because some of them are quite hard. And obviously all the vegetables and fruit I always peel, because again you can't really blend down a sort of a peel or an outside or a fruit and veg. So yeah, I always do that first as well. So once you've been trying the single items for around 1 or 2 weeks, we then decided to move on to going to mixing some of the recipes. We originally started with the porridge and mixed one of the vegetables or fruit with that. So we might have done like porridge and banana, porridge and blueberries, just to give that little bit of an extra taste. They particularly like the porridge with strawberries, but again, they're kind of going out of season now, so they'll not be having any more of that until sort of next year. So yeah, so sort of started with that, and then we moved on to some recipes whereby we'd mix 2 or 3 fruits and veg in an evening. So I'll just tell you a few of the recipes that my girls kind of like. So one of them was the green bean and apple. Again, I tried to mix sort of the sweet with a bit more of the like sort of savoury type. So this was a handful of green beans chopped up, steamed and blended, with apple, again cooked, steamed and blended, and I mixed those together. I did those both sort of on a 10-minute mark in the steamer, and then blended them again for the 2 minutes to get them nice and soft, and they really particularly liked that one. Another one the girls liked was parsnip and pear. Now, they didn't particularly like the parsnips on their own, but mixed with the pear, they seemed to really like it. Pear is one of their go-to favourites for fruit. So again, I steamed those for around 15 minutes because the pears were quite hard, and obviously the parsnips are really hard, and then blended for 2 minutes. And again, they absolutely loved that. And I also think if you do like pea and pear, they really liked that one as well. The peas needed a little bit less, so I steamed the pears first because they were harder, and then steamed the peas for around 5 or 10 minutes, and then blended them both together in the blender for 2 minutes. Another good one was the blueberry, apple and spinach that they really liked. I did a handful of each, so a handful of blueberries, a handful of spinach, and then 1 cut of apple. I steamed the apple, of course, first, again, like I mentioned. I steamed the spinach for about a minute, I think, because, again, they wilt really quickly. And I didn't really steam the blueberries because I thought they were already okay. Once everything was steamed, I then popped them all in the blender and blended again for the 2 minute mark. And the last one that I'll probably go on to was the apple and sweet potato. They also did like pear and sweet potato as well. So again, I steamed both of those for 15 minutes because particularly the sweet potato is really, really hard. So yes, so I steamed those 15 minutes and then popped them in the blender for 2 minutes. As mentioned previously in one of my other videos that was all about the weaning products, I have been getting a lot of my recipes from the Hollow Willoughby book of weaning and the Ella's Kitchen book of weaning. As I mentioned earlier, I do try and do a batch cook, so I will buy sort of fresh fruit and veg, go out and buy it. I try and buy organic just because, you know, there's not any sort of pesticides and things on it like that. Give them all a good wash, work out their steaming times as according to the veg, and then so I steam them all, get them all ready, and then I'll blend them all up. Once they're all blended, I pop them, like I said, into these doddle pouches, or I've got some of the just the basic sort of food pots, and then I pop them all in the freezer. I try and do a 2-week batch up front. The only thing I don't sort of make is obviously the porridge, because the porridge is sort of, you just add the oats and mix it, so I don't obviously freeze anything like that. But any of the fruit and veg I do tend to try and steam first of all, and then that gives me a 2-week mark, and then I will put aside in 2 weeks time another sort of it took me around 2 hours I think to do it all, another 2 hours to the side to try and get all the other ones done. If I need anything in between, or I find some veg, because a lot of people have been growing some veg for me in their gardens and bring me stuff, if I do it in the like sort of weeks, I will just add extra to the freezer as need be, and just make sure I'm keeping a stock check on what I've got so we don't run out of any food for the girls. So yeah, so that's where we're currently up to. I'm just in the next sort of couple of weeks going to be moving on to grains. So this will be adding sort of the rice to it, or sort of making it a bit more lumpier for them to take. And I think when they get to 7 months, they can start having some of the handheld, so sort of the Kiddylicious wafers and things like that that Lucas used to have. So I will be trying them with those. Quinn in particular is quite good at the hand action, and Harper is just sort of developing that now. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks they will be able to take that. Yeah, they're both sitting well in the high chair. Well, I say both of them actually. Quinn is sitting quite well in the high chair. Harper, we've been having some difficulties. She's been sitting in a beanbag chair, but I'm hoping with a little bit of physio that we've been referred to, that we'll be able to get her sat up in a chair, and that's where we are currently practicing. She has been having a few little goes of sitting up, but her head definitely sort of slouches down a little bit with her having Down syndrome. I do just want to reiterate that I am not no expert in baby weaning. I am purely a mum. The advice is just purely on what I did and what I've researched myself, so I haven't been given any health guidance despite me being a nurse. I think a lot of people sometimes think it's factual, but yeah, it's just basically what I did. I am hoping to be doing maybe a blog post in the next coming weeks about some of the recipes that I've been using, and some of the sort of bits like the doddle pouches and the spoons and things that I found really useful with the girls. So if you like my video, then give me a thumbs up and do subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.